Good morning. So, I'm going to try a technique called Freestyle Wednesday, where I just start this thing and see if anything comes out that is pertinent and if it's salvageable. Because I need to take advantage of my alone time that I have now, magically, and make a video, but I don't really have one teed up. So, um, yeah, nothing to lose, really. So, I need to pray, basically, if last time was any indication. So, Lord, help me to say only what you need me to say and bind the devil and keep him from blanking my brain so that the words can flow. So, Holy Spirit, here we go. So, yeah, Rapture stuff is happening. It's super cool. Uh, and I've just been really paying attention to everything. And as far as I can tell, we're getting a hurricane on every side of the border, and things are still wild. The political stuff is ramping up, which I think is just hilarious. I cannot believe it's been enough time for that circus to be coming back around. I have little to no interest in it, but if they want to amuse me, I'm all up for that. Um, yeah, I'm just watching. I'm watching the Watchers, and they're keeping me informed as well as entertained. Revelations are still accumulating, which I was talking to my mom about this stuff the other day, and just about like my previous video, and um, like the whole thing about the visions and dreams and how your old men will dream dreams, your young men will see visions. And there's another part where it says your sons and daughters will prophesy. I had my Bible, or I had a Bible sitting right next to me. I should look up the whole scripture. What do you think? Hold on. Okay, you know what's weird? I thought I was like Joel 2:38. Like I just said that, but it's not Joel 2:38 because there is no Joel 2:38. It's probably something else. 2:38 is like something memorable. It's 2:28, but I hear 2:38. Something is 2:38. Anyway, so 2:28 says, and afterward I will pour my spirit. I'll pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. Even on my servants, both men and women, I will pour out my spirit in those days. I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and billows of smoke. The sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. Um, so that describes um, that describes I have to say it describes this time period, especially that anyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved, which is what I have said, like basically my very first video. And I know that that is in the Bible, which is why I said it. I didn't know it was there though. Um, so that's kind of like what I was thinking about when my mom was telling me that whole, she was like, that's the whole verse. And that's the thing. Like, that's what I feel like I haven't been able to convey. Like when, I'm talking about the rapture, whatever I'm talking about, and I'm super excited, and everybody's like, yeah. And I'm like, but the rapture is happening, and it's like soon. And everybody's like, yeah, we've heard that. And it's like, and people are dreaming dreams and visions. And you're like, yeah, I've heard that. And then you're like, well, call on the name of the Lord. And everybody was saved. It's like, yeah, we've heard that. And that, like, the realization that is like what people aren't realizing is that these are all coming from the same places in the Bible. And what I realized, what the Revelation 12 sign thing made me realize in particular, which is another thing I was trying to get across, because yes, before you see it in the sky, before it's an actual literal constellation in the sky, you don't know what John saw in heaven. It's like, and then I saw this sign. It's this and this and this. And you're like, okay. And then he sees something else, and he sees something else, and he sees something else, and he sees something else. And we have dictated our excitement on checking those things. It's like a scavenger hunt. It's like, oh, I've seen this. Oh, this has happened. Oh, Israel's a nation again. Oh, end times are things are happening. Oh, the mark of the beast technology is here. Oh, this is that. Oh, blood moons. Oh, this thing got fulfilled. And we're checking it all off, and we're like, because that's what we're going by. Because no one knows the day or the hour, right? So, and then you also get, well, where's the rapture in the scripture? Like, can you even find it? And then you go, well, no, rapture is not an actual word, but there's these other words, like any other translation. Basically, you've got to find a word for, so you'll see the catching away or the hiding away or this and that, and the word rapture will be used, and then from there, people have taken these instances that are talking about this mysterious catching away, the going up or whatever, and they're saying, and they're naming this phenomenon the rapture. And so that's where that term comes from. So, you might as well call it, code blue or whatever. It's like, well, where's code blue in the Bible? It's like, well, it's not, but it is. It's describing something that's mysterious. It's describing a mysterious thing that's being described. And certain people have latched on to these explanations or these descriptions of an event. It's like, well, what is that? And I mean, I would venture to guess that anybody that latches on to this event and is it's their business. They're particularly concerned with it, either because they are watching for it, God is calling them to watch for it, or they are going. That's my theory, because there's some people that swear up and down it's not there. And I remember distinctly the first time that I noticed it. It would disrupt my reading. It was like every time I would read a gospel, there would be a mention of this, and I'm going, what is this? So to me, it's very, I'm not at a loss, like, where is this at? Because I remember every single time it was mentioned. And I knew it was about the same thing. Tell us about the end. And then there's a description. Mark, tell us about the end. And then there's a description. Luke, tell us about the end. And then there's this description. And I think because people see that it's saying the end, they're going, well, okay, well, this is going to happen at the end. And the end is Jesus coming back. It's all the end. Well, the thing is, how long do you think the end should last? Should it last? Do you think 20 years out of thousands should be considered the end? Okay, so should there be a sequential thing? Like, do you think the end should be like the last 2 hours of humanity, or do you think he's just going to cram a bunch of stuff in at the last 2 hours of humanity, and it should just be pencils down, time's up for everybody? Or should people be given second chances? Should they have a third chance? Should they have, well, the chance for this is completely gone, but if you can do certain things till the end, you can get it that way. should there be all these multiple different phases? Okay. And I mean, do you think that that's even God's style to do that? Or is it just going to go to the end? And nobody can say, nobody can change anything, nobody can do anything. Nobody. So what is this nature? What is the nature of this end that we're talking about? Oh, well, I don't need to concern myself with it, even though I'm literally in it. Listen, the only people that don't need to concern themselves with the end are dead people. As long as you are alive, you could be in the end. And if you're in the end, you need to figure out where in the line you could be. Because if you're at the cutoff and you're below all that, you're here and below, and you could have been in the line, the people that were getting in, you need to know the nature of the end and what you have to do. So this idea like God's going to just wrap it all up and I'm sure he's got it all figured out and we'll just, you can watch a little bit just in case, but not really. That's just a thing that we say so that we sound spiritual. It's like, y'all are about to mess up. I don't know why this thing like popped up on my screen. Like, let me just stop doing that. Okay, so what I have realized is that all of these little spots and places that we use not to, we use to sort of give evidence that there is a valid reason to watch. We don't even use it as the evidence itself that there is that we are in the end times or that the end times has actual markers. We just use it as a way to show that it's valid to even look, because the one that says no one knows the day or the hour is the one that's used against people. And I understand why it is. We've been over that. But what I have realized, and I keep saying that because it just needs a lot of teeing up. What I have realized is that the little things that we've been reading about, the great and terrible day of the Lord is what is primarily in the Old Testament. There's a lot of talk about this great and terrible day of the Lord. And then there's a lot of talk about being caught up in the New Testament. And I'm realizing that they are all the same thing. That the rapture is the stuff that we don't know what it means. The leftover passages that we have no idea what they mean. And it's logical. If you have leftover passages in the Bible that has not yet applied to anything, that means that they haven't happened yet. And we know that. Like, I know when I read about, when Ezekiel, I just read Ezekiel, which was tedious, not going to lie. And then there was also a lot of problematic stuff in there that maybe I'll get to, not going to lie. But it was very about him measuring, the place where God is going to dwell forever. And you just go, okay. Because you just can't possibly think that has anything to do with your life, like anything to do with now. You feel like that, God is just, I don't know, he's in one of his moods and he wants to talk about the distant future right now and like literally measure it out like to its whatever. And you're just like, okay. And, that's what it seems like. It just seems like God gets this, he gets this eagle eye mood and he starts talking about, the distant future and him coming down on a mountain. And then there's blood and fire. And then birds come down and they have their fill of the dead. And, all the men put their weapons in a big pile and burn them because we're not doing that anymore. And then it's just fuel for like 7 years. That's how many weapons there are. And they've got to it takes months and months to clear all the bodies. And it's just like, when is that going to happen? I don't know. It doesn't have anything to do with me. Okay. are you sure? Because if you're in the end times, this could be in the next couple of years. You could be seeing this in the next couple of years. It hasn't happened yet, so it's up for grabs, just logically speaking. And also, um, when the stuff out here starts mirroring the stuff in there, I mean, that Revelation 12 sign is going to be in the sky in mid September. Like, it will be in the sky. A thing that John saw and talked about, not like a little bitty verse. Oh, look that part where it says, "Oh, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Like, oh my gosh, he said it. He said it. Let's cross off Psalms, whatever. I'm talking about a whole big, huge, long, long chapter that he came across and saw. Like, that's going to be in our 2023 life in September. And it's not like, oh, well, it could come around again. You can go in Stellarium and look at the sky for the next 50 years. You can go in Stellarium and look at the sky 2,000 years ago and what was in it. It ain't coming around no more. It's not coming around again. So that's going to be in our sky. Revelation 12, chapter 12, Revelation is going to be in our sky. And again, what I need to say is what I'm realizing is the reason why the rapture isn't in the Bible is because the rapture is the thing that we're always reading about. It is the great and terrible day of the Lord. It is the the thing that Jesus was telling them about when they asked what the end was going to be like. It is all of that stuff. It is all of that stuff. It's not some little wackadoo, like eccentric, strange thing on the outskirts of Christianity. It is the thing. It would be like someone saying like I'm trying to. I know that I can come up with a good thing here on the fly here. It would be like saying it's like another one of those markers. Like I was saying about Peter having that vision about the Gentiles. It's like he didn't know no one ever told anybody that was going to be the next phase of the plan, or that it was even described as that. God said a little bit about it again in the Old Testament when he was having his eagle eye moment, and he was like, one day it's going to be like this. I'm going to call people from all sides of the earth, and just like these huge grandiose statements about, and they're going to have my spirit in them, and they're not going to need this law. They're going to have my spirit in them, and they're just going to go and do and you're just like, woo! You're like, you're a Jew in exile. Like, sounds great, God. Like, yay. And then one day it's just a matter of practicality, and it just is like that. And you got to read in the past about how it wasn't like that once, and you're like, how was it? What? So people just, they had to go walk up to the thing and do, like, they couldn't even go into the Holy of Holies. Like, somebody had to do that all for them. Like, what? Oh my gosh. What? Like, and we just take for granted, like, just the awesomeness of God, like, making these things come to pass. And then having it just be regular life after that. It's never like, oh my gosh, he did it. It's like, yeah, well, what else was he going to do? Like, it was another way before this. Like, he never gets like any celebratory, like, that happened. So, unless you're like looking for it. So, yeah. So, the rapture is it. It is the thing that the other thing that he's talking about, that he's like spending a lot of time on. Like, he spent a lot of time on it. It's not a little, like, it's not fringe. It's the next phase. Like there's a little bit of it left. I mean, what percentage of the Bible hasn't happened yet? Like 27%. Like that's my guess. So I'm just saying, like the first 1,000 years or something, maybe like it was writing itself. Like so for it was it had nothing to fulfill. It was just being written. So then maybe I don't know. In the last thousand years, maybe it got up to like 50 or 60% or something. I don't know. But all I know is there's a couple of years left, and he's about to fit like 20% of that thing in a couple of years. I'm like, do you like? Does that make sense? Like, even if it was something like a sliver of like 18%, like 18% in 7 years is like that's like a huge funnel. That's a huge funnel. Like, I don't know, man. I'm just trying to tell you, like, the rapture isn't in it because it's not one piece. It's not one little thing. It's part of the end. It is the great and terrible day of the Lord is about your face when you're on the ground and you're left. When I tell you that people are going to know. I just watched a dream that somebody had the other day where they didn't even see it happen, but they were like busy doing other stuff. They were at their house, and they felt the moment that God came and went, and they were gone already. She's like, they left, and I'm still here. Like this variety of experiences. There's people who they go. There's people who don't go, and they are looking up at it. They're seeing it. There's people who are looking up and seeing it and seeing the whole thing unfold, and desperately trying to become one of those people who get to go. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. There's people who have literally no idea what's going on, and they think it's aliens. There's people who don't see anything at all and are just laughing and mocking and scoffing about it, about other people. There's all this variety of like the complete picture that can be painted from just all of these dreams and visions over the years. Like that, and the fact that thing got fulfilled while we were all just sitting here. Um like this, like Joel is talking about you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, Joel is talking about you. Like, listen, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Like, imagine what all people meant back in the day. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. Even on my servants, both men and women, I will pour out my spirit in those days. I will show wonders in the heavens, also happening now. I'm following a channel that's like people are sending in all of these crazy wild things that they're seeing in the sky. And then on TikTok, I saw a video of a lady where the sky was literally like split, like you could see where it was like a TV or something. Or like if you cut and pasted a picture, it was like the sky was cut and pasted. There was a clear seam in the sky. And it's like, oh, well, somebody could have did that. She literally had the camera up, and there was a small crowd that had gathered where they were looking at it. And she looked over to the guy. She's like, you see that, right? Like, I'm not like, you can see, like, is that not the craziest thing? And he's like, yeah, it's so everybody, she hasn't done anything to the video. They're all looking up at it. So yeah, that's not normal. We all know that's not normal. How do you explain it? Well, it's hard when you've taken away God and you've taken away any, God and the devil. You can't hardly explain anything. I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and billows of smoke. So one thing that I don't know, has the sun been turned to darkness yet and the moon to blood? The moon has turned to blood before. And this is all before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, which um we try to make the distinction that the great terrible day of the Lord and Jesus' second coming are not the same day. The rapture and Jesus coming back briefly just to be glimpsed in the sky is different from Jesus coming back once and for all and coming to rule and reign, which seems kind of like we don't quite have a solid grasp on what even all that is, so we don't really bring it up that often. But that is what it is. So the great and terrible day of the Lord is the day that, at this point, we need to start going through any great and terrible day references and understanding what that is. And what I'm pretty sure is describing is the day that the grace stops, the day that the grace ends, and the end starts. The end starts. So, yeah, I don't know. I just really wanted to convey as much as I could possibly try to convey that the rapture is a nickname that we gave to the events that are described in the Bible, and these are not all separate events. These are not all separate ebbs and flows that God is talking about. Like, well, it could apply to this. It could apply to the day that they went into exile. It could apply. No, it's all talking about the same thing. It's all talking about the same thing because there's only one great and terrible day, and it's going to be recognizable to everybody. So, yeah. So the rapture goes by many names. We just, the Christians are obviously going to focus on the part where they're not here anymore and they got something there, and they don't have to deal with this place anymore. But time is still going to go on for a little while longer, and God can see, and God is concerned with both places. He's concerned with both realities, or whatever. It's like the rapture might be the end for us, but it's not the end. That's why you can't put the rapture and the second coming in the same breath, and which never mattered before. But when you're in the time, now you need to know the difference. Like, very few of us are worried about what happens to us once we're dead. That's why everything is very focused on living a righteous life, living a holy life, living life. Everything after you're dead is beyond your control. So, but God still has jobs to do after you specifically die. You are a wisp of vapor, a blade of grass to God. You are, everything to yourself. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to decipher what's what. And yeah, I talked for 30 minutes about something that I didn't even know I was going to talk about. So, man, I am just I'm a rambly person. I just can. I think this is that. What is that thing that's like? What can you talk about for 30 minutes without any preparation? I mean, I think we all figured out what that is. Um, I'm an expert on God. Is it just the rapture or is it God in general? I don't know. What do y'all think? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Blah blah blah. I think I'm gonna do another one actually because I have some other stuff that I could talk to you about. I could talk to you about Ezekiel and what I'm thinking about, the weird stuff that I'm thinking about when reading that. So yeah. Oh, and that is the sun bringing me in and out of focus or whatever. Clouds in the sky, but it's still 100 degrees. So y'all pray for Texas. Okay, bye.